Well, good afternoon, everybody. As you can see, I'm across in Manitowoc. I thought I would go and check out the summer weather here in on the shore of Lake Michigan. I was up in Shetland, obviously, on Tuesday, and just let you know that myself and Peter Wood, we will be having, hopefully, arranging another Tales of Thankerton with another guest, not this coming Tuesday, but the following Tuesday. So you can look forward to that. I don't think it'll be a big surprise when we reveal who our special guest, mine and Peter's special guest, is. As I say, not next Tuesday, not this coming Tuesday, next Tuesday. Anyway, as I say, I'm here on the shores of Lake Michigan. It's very pleasant at the Rally House here. Had the barbie going last night, so yeah, it's great fun. Wanted to share with you some recent tweets. So here we go. No particular order. Let's go first of all with, here we go. Here's a tweet from my guest, wonderful guest on Sunday night, my Sunday night, your Sunday afternoon, Big Jeff on Twitter. Tweeted yesterday, as long as Judge Willis is on the job, all the bigwigs of Manitowoc were all set. I wonder if that explains how he just couldn't manage to see the relevance of deleted voicemails. And Seven Pop replied with Manitowoc County sure thought Willis would be the only one who would do it their way and not see the relevance. And in this tweet, we have a picture here of the letter from Mr. Kratz to Manitowoc County, telling them all about the fact that they would be quite happy to have the case held in Calumet, the hearing in Calumet, but with a Manitowoc judge, Judge Patrick Willis. And of course, the trial was in 2007. And guess what? In 2008, Judge Willis is up for re-election. And I must admit, when I spoke to Jerry Buting about the problems with Judge Willis, that was what he pointed out, was the fact you have to remember that Judge Willis is up for re-election. And I wonder how often judges enjoy having a trial that results in somebody being found innocent. I wonder how much that affects their reputation and popularity among the voters. Anyway, here was a tweet by TikTok, which was just absolutely brilliant, totally hilarious. Obviously, we're talking about the fact that Deputy Hawkins is the one that signs the evidence document to say that this was a swab of the hood latch. And under questioning, we all know where this comes from. Okay, Deputy Hawkins. You can just imagine Kathleen Zellner asking these questions of Deputy Hawkins in the style of Wiegert and Fassbender. Okay, Deputy Hawkins, we know there was something with a pen. What happened with the pen? I chewed it? No, something with the pen. What was it? Drew doodles? No, come on, it had to do with the pen. Took the cap off it. I'm just going to come out and ask. I'm just going to ask, who signed your name? He did. Absolutely brilliant. Obviously, referring to the fact that it was Mark Wiegert that clearly signed Deputy Hawkins' name on the evidence sheet and just printed it. One more tweet for you. Came up this morning. Steve Drizin, exoneree Walter Ogrod. In his own words, Injustice Watch, exon via Injustice Watch. Walter Ogrod is talking, and the whole world should be listening. What should we be listening to? Well, or reading. Let's have a look at the actual article. From Injustice Watch, this is exoneree Walter Ogrod in his own words. This is from John Seasley. Walter Ogrod walked out of prison on June the 5th. Ogrod, 56, spent nearly a quarter century on death row for the 1988 killing of a 4-year-old Barbara Jean Horn, which remains unsolved. His trial involved a false confession, jailhouse informants, and evidence withheld from his defense attorney. That's better. Ogrod was one of 25 people profiled in Injustice Watch's Unrequited Innocence series, which examined cases where people who were likely innocent were sentenced to death and have not been exonerated. Ogrod is so far the only subject of that series to be exonerated. In one of his first interviews since he was released, he spoke with Injustice Watch about his interrogation, his experience in prison, and his new life as a free man. However, editor's notes, Ogrod's comments have been condensed and edited for clarity. This article contains some graphic language. On the police interrogation that ended in a false confession, I had been up since 8 a.m. morning that Saturday. Maybe just before noon on Sunday, I called the detectives. See, they came to my house a few days earlier. The landlord got the card from them. They said it was only going to take an hour. I got there at 1:30 in the afternoon. They told me to sit in the little waiting area. I must have been waiting there at least an hour. I start drifting off. I say I'm going, that I'm sleepy and I don't want to crash on my way home. They put me in the interrogation room. Detectives Martin Devlin and Paul Rowell. They start, at least for the next hour, asking some basic information. Where I live, why'd you move? They asked me, what did I remember about the case? What did I remember happening that day? This was almost 4 years after Barbara Jean's body was found. I told them I came back from work. I didn't see no kids. I see Mrs. Green, who lived there. I asked why it was so quiet. She said the older kids, they took all the young kids to the local rec centre for the pool out there, which they usually do. I told them I went to the store, came back. Sometime later, I seen Mr. Fahey come to the door asking if he'd seen Barbara Jean. He was in a panic. He said maybe she's at a friend's house. They asked a lot about her stepfather, how he was to the mother and the child. I thought he was her actual father. I didn't know. They said they heard she didn't want her daughter coming to the house. The Greens were like vagabonds. They were unkept. They were selling drugs. They asked, what did we hear? I told them we heard about the box being found, but they're not sure if the child was her. Later on that night, we heard it was her. Then they start asking, What do you remember regarding reading in papers and on TV? Something seemed unusual, but then again, they wanted to know what was going on. What I had known, I got a weird feeling. But it wasn't until after they said the interview was done, I go for the door and they slam it shut on me. They said, "We believe you done it. We're keeping you here all night." They kept locking the door. They handcuffed me to the chair. I asked for a phone call for a lawyer. I said, "I have a right to a phone call." They said, no, we'll get to it later. It went all night like that. They started putting pictures of her body in front of my face. They didn't go like in order. They kept skipping from one part to another. Devlin, he was the creative one. Roel was sometimes making suggestions like, "How could this happen when you said this earlier?" I'm dozing off all the time. They shake me awake, give me coffee. They made a sketch of the alley to my house near where Barbara Jean's body was found. The person was supposed to go this way, he said. He takes my hand, goes straight down the alley and makes a right. This is the way. If they'd seen me, why not arrest my ass earlier? Devlin was getting mad. "Then you went down this way." I was so dead tired, I didn't know what was going on. Then they were asking questions about the body or how I got it in the house. Mrs. Green was in the house then. She wasn't. "You can't decide whether someone's in the house or not," they said. They asked me what I'd do with the blood. There was no blood spatter in that house. They claimed I wanted to take her downstairs and wanted to play doctor with her. In those homes out there, you could easily hear everything. You could hear every sound through the vents. I said I made her kneel so she could give me a BJ. They said she started crying, so I took this weight bar and swung it. Impossible. If you put your arm up, you'd hit the rafters an inch above your wrist. There's no way I could have swung a bar going down the way they have it. No possible way. Even if I'm on the first floor, I still couldn't do it there. We took a break around midnight. They gave me some food. We took a couple flights upstairs to the room, a crypt to take fingerprints. They take 5, 6 sets of fingerprints. They kept throwing pictures of her body in my face. "You're sick. We want to get you help," they said. Toward the end, toward the signing, I say I want an attorney. They were trying to get me to sign a paper waiving my rights. They said they'd get me an attorney, but you got to sign this first. They were messing with my head real bad. I've never heard that before. They said, "If you don't sign this confession, we're going to take you downstairs and put you with a bunch of, and say you killed a bunch of children and see what happens." A few times I managed to try to get out to use the phone, but they grabbed me. I'm so out of it and all. By that time, I must have been up 48 hours straight. They kept on badgering. They kind of had me believing it. My autism, my Asperger's, I had no sleep. I did not get out until 7 the next morning. I was thrown in the holding cells. On hearing the jury sentence him to death. When they said death, I kind of just froze there holding the table, thinking I was going to fall over. It hit me, but I didn't feel nothing. It took me a while. Then I thought, just get it over with. I don't feel like waiting 20-something years like some of these people who lose their appeal. On life on death row at State Correctional Institution, Green. Over the years, different superintendents always take out their frustrations on us. In '98, we called it the massacre of ourselves. One superintendent had us strip ourselves of everything. All our legal work was shipped off or destroyed. You're in your cell 22 hours a day. You get 2 hours out Monday through Friday. A dog kennel gets more space than what we get for exercise. The guards were complete unpleasant. There were some decent ones, but mostly complete unpleasant. Charles Grainer, who was convicted of war crimes at the Abu Ghraib prison in Iraq, he was a guard at Green. He beat prisoners. On the long wait of his appeal, I thought, if anything is going to happen, I thought I was going to get life, or reduced to life. Some attorneys, they just want to get you life, and that's it, for their resume, for their CV. It's too slow. You sit in your cell doing nothing. You just go nuts. It feels like the walls are closing in on you. At that time, making a phone call, the charge was outrageous. And to reverse charges, it's double that. My friend had a $5,000 phone bill. On the June 5th hearing that led to his release and exoneration. When Assistant DA Carrie Wood started crying, that kind of got to me. She got my case the day she was hired there, and she's been on it since day one. I wonder if she's part of a conviction integrity unit. To hear it like that, when she was continuing to cry, it just felt weird. I can't even really describe it. To hear a DA crying to an exoneree. I don't think that any DA has ever done anything like that. That wasn't some phony thing. She was really, it was getting to her. All the stuff she's seen. How dare they do this to an innocent man? How dare they do this to this mother? I just wanted to talk to her and tell her to calm down and all. On walking out of prison, I loved it. I loved it. I couldn't get out there fast enough. I just had to get out of there. After the hearing, I went back to my cell on the block. The superintendent had called down and told them to get me out of there. I had an hour and a half. I had to rush. I tried to leave some stuff for someone to use, a typewriter. On his new life, I'm still getting used to this iPhone, that's for sure. I'm way behind putting stuff on my Facebook. I'm behind. I got a bad leg. If I walk for a while, the pain goes into the other leg. A lot of the pain went away when I got the bed I'm sleeping on. I want to get rid of the pain so I can enjoy what's left of the summer. I want to do advocacy to abolish the death penalty in Pennsylvania. It needs to be done, especially in Pennsylvania. After 28 years, you have no idea how much is still burning in me. I'm particularly glad that Steve Drizzen has said everybody needs to listen to this or everybody needs to read this, because this is the kind of aggression almost that I particularly want to hear from people. I want to see everyone connected to my case, the detectives, especially the DAs and the coroner. I want to see them punished. I want to go after everyone that had a part in this. I want to make it so expensive for the city that this has to change. It's painful, but I got to use this pain to help other people. And here's Walter at the Rocky statue in Philadelphia. So anyway, there we go. As I say, just a few little tweets that I've come across over the last couple of days. I think some of you heard Eric Ozee saying that we've got something to do with Daniel Holtzclaw coming up over the weekend. And I think it's tonight that if you've seen the Michelle Malkin documentary about Daniel in the den, yeah, then there's a really good DNA expert, probably as good as Dr. Siltman. Dr. Crane, I believe his name is, who has also previously, we've come across him. He was with Andrew Whitehead a while back. So anyway, look forward to tuning in with Eric Ose on, I believe it's tonight. Planning on doing something with him over the weekend to do with the Holtzclaw case. And as I say, on not this coming Tuesday, next again Tuesday, we'll do another Tales of Thankerton with Peter Wood. Maybe get a bit more music in there as well. Maybe get the box out and play a few more tunes. A bit of playoff and stuff. Anyway, that's all I've got time for today. Hopefully we'll catch you again soon. Thank you everybody for tuning in. We'll catch you soon. Bye for now.